Good morning, everybody. BDF 44 coming at you in another video. All right, so I just called the number that my sister gave me, as I intended to, for Karen Bass's office. Left a message with them. They kept me on hold for like 10 minutes and then gave me a voicemail. So that's really what it was, man. Like I said last time, you know, they're really serious about you know, managing what they have to manage. It's not a situation where they can give you everything that you need just because you need it in the state. They just don't have that. That's one of the reasons why she's talking the way she is, Karen Bass, the mayor, because homelessness is such a problem in the city and in this state. But I'm just yet another person who's facing it for the very first time. And I need a lot of help, and I don't get prioritized because of the fact that it is something that is new for me. But you know, I left a message letting them know exactly what it is, man. I haven't worked in a while, got mental health issues, just got diagnosed, don't have a job, need help, you know. And hopefully, you know, calling, reaching out to you guys can be of service to myself. That's pretty much what it is. Left my contacts and left it alone. You know, I don't know that they can really do anything at this point, because what the company that I got that number for is basically, it's Karen Bass's Connect, but it's through a company that looks to help people through evictions. If my understanding of how these companies work is the case, then I've already went past the threshold of what it is that these companies can do. I've already called a company like this before, that's why. On some random day when I was taking my walk, I saw, in fact, I think I was one of the days that I was going to look for what I needed at the courthouse around that area near the Target. They saw an ad for one of those type of companies. I called them right there on the spot, and they told me they couldn't help me for that reason. So I'd assume that it was either the same company, I don't remember the name of it, or something similar. But you know, when it comes to evictions and stuff like that, you just got to get on it right away. You can't handle it the way I handled it. I didn't know that. I thought, you know, it would be friendly for me, not friendly, but like, you know, kind of like something that wouldn't take as many steps to get what people need. I guess I didn't know how important accepting the extension that they had provided. If I would have just gave them an agreement on the spot to say, yo, I'll get out in 90 days, I'd have had 90 days. Now, granted, they've given me 60, but not necessarily the way they wanted to, because it was just simply not sent out. You know, the sheriffs never came out, but I had the 60, but I only used about 30 of them because of what Karen Bass told everybody. So it's like, is that my fault? I suppose it is, but given my circumstances, there wasn't a whole lot to do but further ask people for help and stress and demand things in some ways. Not demand, but, you know, request things in some ways that otherwise can't live without. That's the only thing I would have been doing these last 30 days until I got certified for certain things that I just got confirmation for very recently. SSI and stuff like that. Otherwise, I'd have just been trying to scramble around, trying to find money, and with a mind that doesn't want to work. You know, and so that's really what it comes down to. Convincing myself to work is what the mental illness is really all about. Just like trying to convince myself to go to school when I was a child is what the mental illness was all about. We couldn't get it done. It wasn't even about whether I wanted to or not. My head was in the way and I was going crazy about it. And so it ain't no different now with this work crap. The only difference is it's a different subject. It's the same problem. And I'm telling y'all, man, part of me wants somebody to just force me to do it. Because I know if I'm forced to do it, I'm going to do it. Just like I'm forced to walk down the street to go to the courthouse with only one day to handle my business. Look what I'm doing. The anxiety don't come into play because fight or flight comes into play. So it's like, if I can just initiate fight or flight 24/7, I'll probably make myself into what I want to be. But if I have any indication that I can relax, and mental illness kick in and I start acting like I do. And so that's really what it is. I don't want to find myself in a position where I'm still getting my butt kicked for stuff that I genuinely want to be able to do, but can't convince myself to initiate unless it's fight or flight. And when it comes to that type of thing, how much of this is my fault? How much of it is no one's fault? How much of it is somebody else? I don't have any idea how to assess any of that other than to say, I'm thankful that I have the little bit of psychological understanding that I have so that I'm not jumping off of a roof in confusion about why I can't convince myself to do things I must do. Must do. I don't think I can really help people understand what this feel like, because I don't think there's any way to simulate this confusion. I don't think it even exists nowhere else. I think I'm probably the only head in the world that has this problem. And I really do believe that. And I ain't never heard of nobody having this problem, not being able to communicate what it is they're feeling to the degree that I am. Nobody, like, I'm a one-on-one, man, and that because of it, I don't know where the help gonna come from. I don't know where the solutions are. I think the solutions are probably in me as the case study for people who will come after me like me. Like, I'm the first one. So it's like, that's how I feel about my mental illness, man. Kicking my behind left and right. Every era of my life has been destroyed by this. This is destroyed by it, y'all. Every era of my life, my whole 30s was wiped away by my mental illness and just reacting to the bereavement of my mother's passing, man. Killed my whole 30s. I didn't date one person, didn't have nobody in my life in that way the whole time. Y'all wouldn't even believe it. You wouldn't even believe it. You know what I mean? And it's not because I didn't have people in my life that I could have enjoyed in that way or none of that. It's because this head made it up in his mind that there were parameters around my apartment that I couldn't let nobody in there. Even when things were fine, I didn't want nobody in there. For a million different reasons that had left me alone. And so it's like, it's time to stop this. And if there is a way to overcome this without jumping off of the highest point, I won't find it. Honestly, I never want people to think that I want to leave this earth without finding solutions for all of these problems. I don't. I really don't. I want to know what the hell's going on. I want to fix it. That's literally what my intention is. So I just want people to know I'm still kicking forward. I prayed up myself big time before I left the house, y'all. I prayed myself up so hard. I prayed every prayer I could think of. And the sad thing is, I don't know if I would have did that if I wasn't in no trouble. Yeah, that's a problem. It's easy to go to God when you got trouble, but is it easy to stay in presence of God when you ain't got no troubles? When it's cool to let your hair down, are you still present with the same intensity that would otherwise allow you to have his favor in your life? I don't know. I think my answer is probably not. As soon as I feel good, I'm right back to my old ways. Things get bad, then I'm doing this. Oh, God, come now. I'm sick of that. If he ain't sick of it, I'm sick of it. That's what it really comes down to. God bless his intentions upon my life, but my very own opinion of myself when it comes to that, trash. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it. I know better. And so at this point, I'm ready to get my head in order and then initiate more discipline in following what it is that ultimately keeps my energy right and keeps me in a position to make better decisions regardless of what my mental health wants to do. Regardless of what it wants to do. My mental health is always going to want to kick my behind. My mental health is always going to tell me that the work that I'm putting in is going to be in vain, so don't put it in at all. That's what my mental health is going to say by default in most every situation. And I'm telling you, I looked at myself in the mirror today as I was getting ready to start my day, and I realized that all the work I had put in made me pleased with what it is I saw. And it's only that work that ultimately will get me where I want to go from here in other areas. It's not going to be my complacency in the moment. It ain't going to be my being all self-conscious and not allowing myself to be active through the stresses of whatever that moment is. But to put the Lord first, ask him to bless what it is that initiates that work within me, and then put forth the effort within that to do what it is he gives me the ability to do. That's what gave me the ability to be pleased with what I saw in the mirror this morning. I'm telling y'all that I want to be pleased with what I see in my bank account. I want to be pleased with what I see in my personality and as people speak about me in the future. I want to be pleased with my living situation, obviously. I want to be pleased with my surroundings. And I want to be pleased with what it is that I'm putting into my life by way of my choices. None of that looks very good in the mirror right now. For better or for worse, for what it is I was trying to do and it not working out, AMC, corruption, all of that. If the squeeze would have happened, I would have been a rich person with these problems and no motivation to address them, because there would be no necessity because I would be rich. Probably wouldn't even make it. So I'm pleased that the Lord ain't did exactly what it is that I would have wanted him to do, because I need to also be ready for what it is that he would otherwise want to do. We can say we want, I want, but when I get it, if I can't handle it, now it's no good for me. So that's really what it is. It's like, okay, God, yes, am I ready to not be broke anymore? Of course. Does this look like something that could happen in my eyes? Of course. Is it best for me that you do this right now? That's no longer enough course. When I look at what the problems are, and then I look at what would supplement that problem without me actually having to address it. Money. This gives me the ability to organically, while still in this space, address these problems, learn these lessons, learn to respect God in a way that I haven't, so that when I do inherit what it is that would otherwise make me responsible, I don't handle it the same way I did everything else that I received, that I did not handle responsibly monetarily. You know, that's the God's honest truth. Thinking about the rumors that are out there for Steve Harvey and his situation. And I just think about, I don't know if it's true or not. He said it ain't true. His wife has had an affair with his bodyguard, and etc. And now she's trying to take half, or maybe more than half, whatever it is. And I just say to myself, I'm not applying myself to Steve Harvey in any way. I'm just saying if I had $400 million, I don't know that I would have made decisions that ultimately wouldn't have made so that I part ways with that money. That's literally all I went to say for that. There's no guarantee I wouldn't bring the wrong woman into my life based on the things that I'm comfortable with without getting the help for myself. Parameters that I don't allow myself to move outside of ultimately give me the results of what it is that I do not want in a lot of cases. Could it be that me addressing these things in this way, with these struggles, can ultimately put me in a position to not have those problems? I believe so. I believe so. And that's what I'm asking the Lord to help me with. And make it so that when I get what it is that I'm supposed to have, I'm not doing anything that I'm not supposed to do. When I get what it is that he wants me to have, it doesn't consume me in such a way that I can't survive it. Or that I'm so selfish and comfortable in my fears while having it, protecting myself, that I don't put myself in a position to part ways with it in ways that ultimately bless others and myself. Like I did with the 401k, perceiving it wrong, handling it wrong, and now the opinion of one of my very best friends is that I was selfish with that money, regardless of where I ultimately didn't find myself selfish with that money. Doesn't matter, because I wasn't as unselfish with it as I need to be, and it's because my heart was pointed at fear, and mental illness was pointed at fear and not pointed at God, to help me be more cognizant of how I can be more helpful to others and why I should want to, why I should be more forthcoming with things that I can share than I was willing to be at that time. Regardless of how I was planning it out or what I was looking at, the point was people around me could have used more from me, and it wasn't even entering my heart to part ways with what it is that could have helped them. That is the flaw that helps me deserve a whole lot of bad in my mind. And so that's what I'm telling y'all, man. I ain't got it all together, and I ain't even close to getting it all together, but I am close to understanding what having it all together is about and why I should want that for myself. It's not about just simply doing things the same way over and over again. It's about getting tired of the same consequences over and over again. The consequences need to stop coming. Those situations that we don't like, we need to stop letting them happen. We gotta stop welcoming things into our lives that ultimately make us feel good in the moment, that ultimately make us unhappy in the lifetime that we're in over time. You want to feel good about yourself, right? Then you can't allow your fears to push you into positions to hate what you see in the mirror. And that is what I'm guilty of in this life. Fear, sadness, scared, weakness. I don't care how strong I stand. I'm standing before you. Strong enough, but not in the behavior, man. Not in the behavior. I might be able to lift a little something, squat a little something, but I'm talking about real strength. Nah, not inner strength. It's not where it needs to be. I have strength, but not the strength I need. Not as it pertains to overriding my fears to accomplish what would make me more unselfish in life. Still working on that, still very much in hoping that the Lord can wage these conversations against those bad decisions so that he can give me some balance to say that I'm helping somebody somehow. And maybe y'all can incorporate some of this into your world, even if I'm not able to. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thought, man. I'm going down here. I'm going to apply for this extension. I hope for the best, man. The way the thing went, sheriffs came on a Saturday. So there wasn't no way to handle that situation on no Saturday or no Sunday. So I really only had 3 days. 2 days, rather. Because if you wait until the final day, you cannot apply. So you only get 2 days because of when he served it. So it's like, they're not going to come through and say, oh, well, because of that, we'll give you an extra couple days. No, you got to get down there, apply for what you need to apply for, and just wait on whatever's coming, and then react to it as you do. So that's what I got to do. I got to go down there and reply, and then just let the Lord do whatever he's going to do. Whatever he's going to do. And if I appreciate what he does, I say thank you. If I don't appreciate it, then I ask him to help me through it. But all this, I'm so scared, all this bull crap, that don't work. It doesn't work. And so that's what I'm here to tell y'all, that the actions that I've been engaging in, man, I want to get better at that, man. How you doing, sir? Yes, sir. Just want to get better in my actions, man, so I can find myself in a position to help people in ways that I dream about, but actually ain't strong enough to do because I ain't taking the steps that'll put me in a position to be that strong or to be that capable. That's where I need God to help me. And it's like, yo, I got all this heart for everybody. Oh, I want to give. I want to have great things attached to my voice. But my example, 2 years later, you look at my channel, I'm still in the same place, wearing the same clothes. It's like, yo, where's the progression, brother? If y'all saying that, you know I'm saying it too. Where's the up? Where's the progress in your life, sir? You want people to follow what you think makes sense, but you don't allow yourself to even change anything around you. And so it's like, this is what I want to change. I want to have the strength to make the changes necessary. That's what buying the table was about. That's what buying the shoe rack was about. That's what buying this, every little new thing that I bought in these last couple of days is about. It's about starting the process of having new things to welcome a new environment and a new world into my life that allow me to be a bit more modern in my situation, a bit more understanding how I want to be going forward, not just like comfortable in the same thing over and over, being comfortable with the same everything for years at a time. Things gotta upgrade. Mind has to upgrade. Your desires in your heart, they gotta upgrade. And so that's what it is, man. I'm frustrated. I'm terrified, truthfully, based on what it is in front of me. But I'm angry. I'm more angry than I am any of those things as I walk down this particular street and these particular steps, because I just know that I don't perceive who to blame properly. I'm gonna blame myself, but how much, as I already said. Now blame the enemy for inserting this into me? I don't know. Blame seems like what is easy for men to wrap their heads around when they need to be able to cope with something. It's like, oh, whose fault is it? It's like, it's not a fault, man. It's just faulty. It's just a faulty thing in my brain that makes it so that I don't function in ways that I respect all the damn time. It's the truth. I love to tell y'all that it's deeper than that, but it's not. This is not, man. It's exactly that. And so I want people to know, if you are in darkness, or if you have mental illness, maybe you have a mental illness that we can't accept, and you can't change yourself and you're in torment about it, that's not something everybody can't relate to. I don't think I have it to that degree, but it's knocking on that door. It's definitely knocking on that door. So I want people to understand that. I may not be able to get with what you're doing. I may think you need to be locked up for the rest of your life for what you have struggles with, but do not let anybody tell you that what you can't control is something that is solely your fault. I don't care how awful it is. You're gonna need help from the village around you to either stop you from doing that, or you're gonna need help from the village to neutralize you if it comes to that. But at the end of the day, what you ain't in control of within your brain that has you acting crazy, it's not your fault. It is your responsibility to get help for it though, but it's not necessarily something you need to be beating yourself up over. Because at the end of the day, that beating up is only going to further drive you into that behavior. It's not going to pull you away from what makes you worse. You got to love yourself and understand that that is the energy that will stop. That is the energy that will help you get a little stronger in the moment so that you don't do the things that you have no business doing. It's the energy of loving self, not the energy of beating yourself up. Beating yourself up is going to further drive home the point that you are as bad as you thought you were. You got to be able to overcome that, tell yourself something different, and then move in a direction that allows you to believe that. That's what I believe. sitting up here telling myself I'm a bad person and do bad things after that, believing it. Nah, I'm a good person, and therefore I'm gonna take the initiative to learn what it takes to do good things if I don't already, and then put it into my life as best I can with small increment steps. I don't have to jump over the mountain. I don't have to give away all my worldly possessions. I just got to be willing to give a quarter to somebody that I wasn't willing to give a quarter to, and then from there turn it into 50 cents and work on your compassion, so that you don't find yourself consumed by your fears, find yourself consumed by your selfishness, find yourself consumed by your bad energy that is only meant to destroy you and everything else that you would otherwise care for if you could just get out from behind the fog of that darkness. And that's what it do. It provides a fog you can't see. You're gonna be in a space where you literally will not be able to see that what you got going on in that energy is not what you want. Only the consequences afterwards will teach you that. Only the consequences afterwards will help you understand, yo, I shouldn't have did that. Yo, that's not for me. Yo, if I continue on that path, I'm not gonna be happy with what it is that people say about me. Forget how I feel when I do it. I'm gonna take on scrutiny for this nonsense. It ain't worth it to me. How do I change my behavior? You know what I mean? That's the essence of change, in my opinion, is that decision. To say to yourself, I am not going forward the same way that I started this process. I am not going to continue to accept that all that I do causes trouble for everybody else and don't cause me no good either, because it ends up ruining my reputation. I can't let that be the case. I got to step in front of those behaviors, put something there, like God, for example, that could be between me and the inevitability of the consequences of those behaviors. They don't have to be inevitable. I don't have to go to jail because I have to do this, because this is what we do. No, I gotta get strong enough to devise a way away from the arena for which those things need to happen. That's the goal. Not to continue to comply with what it is otherwise gonna end up blowing back on you the worst way. And that's what I ultimately need to learn in my own life, in my own way. It's not necessarily about me getting everything I want. It's about, with what it is that I get, I turn into who I want to be. And so that's what I'm telling you guys, man. I ain't that person yet. And that's why I'm walking down the street hoping that the forces of good can kind of come in and work on circumstances that I was too weak to handle. Straight up. Work on my living situation in a way that allows me to not have these type of deadlines in my life every 11 years or so. Or people trying to kick me out of my apartment because I wasn't strong enough to keep my finances up, so that people could have from me what it is that they need from me, as I take from them what it is I should be paying for. It was the prioritization of those fears within the mental illness that prompted all of that. All of it, one way or another. And I'm telling y'all, man, if y'all could have seen me when I was 11, 12 years old, it's the same thing, man. My mother went through this with me every single morning. And every day I told her the exact same thing. I got a stomach ache. And I had no stomach ache. I didn't have stomach problems back then. Never did. I wasn't telling the truth, not one time. Not one time. But what I didn't tell her, which was true, is that my anxiety is debilitating. That was something I just didn't know to call it that, so therefore I had to lie. My stomach hurt. My stomach hurt. My stomach hurt. No, my stomach doesn't hurt, mommy. I am having debilitating anxiety that makes me want to do anything but what it is that I'm forced to face that anxiety doing. Anything. You want to take me to the police station? Let's go. Why? Because it's going to be me and you. I'm comfortable with you, and it's not sending me there. I think the moment that I had when my mother forced me to go into Connie's house, I may have told you this a couple times, but it was one random morning where Connie was there at the babysitter's house. I was in the thick of the trauma because she had already started doing what she was doing. I just hadn't told my mother. So it was one of them situations where who knows how far into this it had been. Probably might have been the day after the first day she started acting crazy. Probably, I don't know. But I was desperately asking my mommy to please not leave me there. I was crying and losing my whole head, telling her not to leave me there with that woman. She left me there with her anyway, and she did what she did that day. I think that's when I developed the mental illness. I think it was at that exact moment that my parameters and my defenses failed me. Because my thing was, I need my mom to protect me. I'm not cognizant enough to tell her all that this evil woman did to me and all that she has intended to do to me now. You leave me here, I may not survive this. And you left me there anyway. And I haven't been able to control myself in my entire life. And I think that's when it happened. I think that's when it happened. Because I still remember that, probably more than anything else. It's just her holding me, telling me, I'm sorry, baby, I gotta go to work. I'm like, please don't leave me here. I was only 2. And I don't blame my mom. There wasn't no other choice. You know what I'm saying? It's not like I'm saying that. There wasn't no other choice. She didn't have no dad in the house. There wasn't nobody to watch me. She had to get to work. And you wouldn't even believe what my mom went through trying to make it so that I was able to stay healthy on top of the problems that was going on, because I was ending up with health problems too at that same time, probably brought on by being around Connie and the stress and stuff like that. But I started having like a pneumonia hit, measles hit, back to back. She had to take time off for that. So it's like she ended up taking off a lot of time from work, and maybe she would have took time off of work that day. Next year, which was when I got pneumonia and all that stuff, she may not have been able to take off work to do all that stuff. You know, so it's like, look, I don't blame my mom for what happened. I'm just trying to find the root of what the problem is, really. That's all it is. I'm not mad at her for leaving me there. I'd have left me there too, because it was the only choice she had. The problem was, I really needed her not to, man. I really needed her not to. That woman was crazy. The type of crazy that you do not want around. The type of crazy I was just talking to about 10 minutes ago when I said it's not your fault, but you need to do something about it. That's what Connie was on. Her head wasn't straight. She was very ill. And I'm telling you, I ain't never in my entire life had true control over my own fear parameters in a way that made any sense at all. And I think that's what stemmed it. I think that was the very thing that stemmed it. I think that's what set it all off, really. I think that it was the abandonment, the being left unsafe, not the unsafeness itself, but the being left there. Now it's like I gotta protect myself. You want to come over? Let me run it past my fears first. No. You wanna hang out? Let me run it past my fears first. No. I think that's what it is, because I was left unsafe in a space where I was cognizant of it and fearful of what was coming. So the anticipation issues that I have, the countdown, all that, it correlates. It correlates with that moment to me as I sit here and assess in real time, because I never had these thoughts before. You guys are seeing me actually sort this out right now. But I'm telling y'all, man, my childhood trauma kicked my butt, man, all my life. 39 years old. I love myself, spirit, with God, all that. But a lot of the decisions I made were not malicious decisions, man. They weren't. So when I take on the blessings that the Lord gives me, hopefully with this extension, with the 2 months that I had, and all these different things, I think he kind of understands that. That's why I get so many favors, I believe. I think that. Because not only was none of this my fault, but I am intent on helping others get closer to God. And I hope he spares my life because of it. Spares me not only in regards to what would be dangerous to me, but in my ability and my willingness to quit on life. You got to save me from that too. Not only the fears of whatever would come, but also that of what would make me quit. That's just as dangerous. If we're really looking at it, it's just as dangerous. That self-destructive button is just as dangerous as any bacteria, any bullet. I'm telling y'all, man, we got to overcome ourselves. And so that's why I'm telling God, man, I need your help to get over these childhood traumas and these issues. Because if I don't, it's going to be times in this life where I'm not going to want to be here no more. It's not about me rebuking you. It's about me asking you to come here to keep that from happening, Lord. So that's what I want everybody to hear me praying that prayer, so that y'all know what was on my heart for whatever happens next. Whether I overcome this or continue doing stuff that I should not do to protect myself, I want y'all to know. I want y'all to know that there's nothing in me that wants to continue that way. Nothing. I don't like the consequences of it. I don't like how it reflects on me. I don't like how the conversation has to be about that when I talk. None of that. So if anybody's wondering if I want help, bad. If for no other reason, so that I don't be such a burden on my family's finances. They're in a position to help me because I haven't taken so much from them up until this point. I can't be a bottomless pit. I can't be. So that's what I'm telling y'all, man. I want people to understand that. I got ways that I want to overcome. I got actions that I'm comfortable with that don't serve me at all. I got people that want to help me. I can't honor them properly because of this mental illness. I'm sick of it, man. I'm sick of it, but I'm doing something about it. I ain't quitting. That's not a solution. Just gotta keep on pushing forward and ask for the strength necessary to keep on doing what it is that I know will work, which is prayer and effort. And so that's what I'm trying to apply to this situation. And I'm thankful that the Lord allowed me to get this far down the street safely, no problems, about 3 blocks away from where I need to be. And I'm gonna handle what I need to handle, man. I handle what I need to handle. This light ever changes to do so. But I'm gonna go. Hopefully it goes well for me. Because their light is stopping, my light is stopped. I hit the button and it ain't giving me green, and I ain't gonna sit here for too much longer because I wanna be there on time. And it is 8:15, so it looks like I may be on time. So that's what it's about, man. All in all, I don't know if I'm calling for people to believe that I'm helpless. Part of me thinks that you're crying out wolf for helplessness, that you can control more of this than you give yourself credit for. Another part of me thinks I'm beating myself up unnecessarily by even saying that. I don't know. I want to make sure I hold myself accountable. That's the point. If I'm being a punk, if I'm being a B word, I want to know that. If that's what this is, I need to know that. You know what I'm saying? But I don't think that's what it is, man. I don't think that it's as simple as that. I don't think it's regular cowardice. I don't find myself to be particularly meek in that way, if not for some of these irrational fears that are pointed in a specific direction. Trauma. You know, and I'm not scary. You know, it's particularly scary. Not necessarily. Nah, I don't think so. But just the same, fear consumes me just the same. And so that's why I'm asking for the Lord to consume me even more so. Put me in a position to make it so that the fear doesn't have as much control over myself as it has, so that these consequences don't have to keep coming into my life as I grow older. You know, that's what I'm asking for. And that's what's good for me, man. Just asking the Lord to help me in whatever way he can, so that I'm not continuing on the path I've been on that ultimately I don't like. And I hope that he helps you too, man. I think part of being the person you want to be is to think of others when you're suffering. Think of others when you're not having the greatest of day. That's a practice that we want to work into our equation to respect ourselves even more, to inspire respect even more within others. You know, once you put yourself in a position to be the person that can help others, it's hard to look at yourself as useless. It's very difficult to convince yourself that you're not strong enough to do what it is ultimately you're going to be able to do. And so that's what I'm telling myself. You can do it. You just got to understand that there's a lot of things here that still are being sorted out. You're coming to conclusions, I'm telling myself. You're helping yourself just by continuing on this path and not quitting these therapy sessions. Every entry is a step in the right direction in a lot of ways for me. It's more proof that I'm not capped. It's more practices in regards to me working on my craft as a broadcaster, and ultimately allows me to see myself. And that is so important for all of us, to be able to have a reflection of ourselves pop up for us to see, just to make sure we're still who we are, who we think we are. And so that's what I've been given this week. And I hope that I've turned it around in a very quick point, in a quick time, as it pertains to what I'm on and what I'm about. I hope I've turned that around. I hope this situation right here gives me enough fear to override whatever fears that otherwise control me. Or enough courage, whatever works. But the point is, I don't want to go through this no more, and I want to not want to go through this no more enough to never let it happen again. I'm telling y'all, if y'all could have seen me when I was leaving Dunsmuir with a backpack on my back similar to the ones I got on right now, with Eggos in my backpack, in that backpack, ketchup in that backpack. Like, I went to Dunsmuir just to pick up the last of my food. And I'm walking down the street with a bag full of food, having been kicked out of my apartment. And I just remember feeling like I'm so dejected. I'm so much of a failure because of this. And to think I let it happen again the same way. It's like I wasn't humiliated enough then. That's the frustration of this. I wasn't humiliated enough then. That's why I consider myself mentally ill, because I definitely am, and yet the decision maker is broken, and I continue to find myself in these situations. Stepping backwards into these situations at that, moonwalking into them, it seems. And like I said, man, I don't even think I would have fell into it this time. As I've said once in a previous therapy session, but I don't think I would have fell into it this time if not for the presence of AMC and all that other stuff. It was AMC that ultimately prompted me to quit my job, to hold my shares, which didn't really make any sense, but I was quitting my job because I thought I had the money. But to let my car go away to keep the shares, to let my mind go by the wayside to keep the shares. Only for them to dilute them, by the way. So it looked like I never built that position in the first place. I want everybody to be cognizant of this, and I say it a lot, but be aware that you know, at the end of the day, I'm a victim of corruption as it pertains to the stock market. I call myself a victim specifically because I bought my shares before I knew what I was into. I was one of the ones they took the buy button from. I had shares that day. I was awake that morning. I saw them put that disclaimer on the screen telling us that they were removing the buy button, but we had every right to sell out of our positions, but no right to add to our positions as our stock tumbled by way of the forced corruption that they believe in, that they are powered. And so I'm telling y'all, I'm a victim. Not necessarily of all the things that we've been talking about, but of this specific thing. And people do not have a conscience for the poor. And as I walk toward a courthouse right now, I think that's symbolic for what it is I'm saying. Justice is needed. Justice is needed in regards to this AMC, GME, and meme stock situation. We need justice now. I want people to know that. This is not about me getting what I want so that I can get saved in a circumstance. I'm just one of many apes, y'all. I'm one of many apes walking a very, very, very intentional life. An intentional life of trying my very best to stay close to this movement while going through whatever walk I got going on. But there are many people who are going through their specific walk with either the same struggles, worse struggles, different struggles, no struggles, but they're in this with me. I'm not alone as an ape. You may not have heard of the apes but me, but believe me, there's millions of us. And we put our money where our mouth is with the intention of turning things around forever. So as I walk down the street holding myself accountable for what it is I need to, you best believe you need to know what prompted me into this if you've never heard me talk about it. I don't think there's too many people who haven't heard me talk about it. But I don't have any regrets about that as I walk into this courtroom. I don't have any regrets about that as I walk toward this situation. And by the way, I think I'm walking the wrong way because I think the courthouse is back there, but I think where I need to be is actually over here. But we'll figure that out as we go. But the point I want to make to all of you guys is this before I go. We only got a minute left to talk. Look how perfect this all went out. 30 seconds, actually. God is good. I got a long way to go. I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know I'm going to praise God when it happens. I'm looking forward to getting stronger. I'm looking forward to being smarter. I'm looking forward to being able to respond to things better. I'm looking forward to having preventative measures. I'm looking forward to overcoming all of my fears and childhood traumas. In Jesus' name. And I hope you are able to overcome what you need to as well. BDF 44.